Here I come. How could you miss?
The Alabama is a Tier 8 American battleship, known for having way too many siblings that shares the same family name. This ship has an interesting lore behind it. Back in 2016, it was planned to be a reward ship for Super Tester, and to the surprise of absolutely no one, they have alerted the Horde. So people subsequently revolted in the most predictable way possible. Only one specific region able to respond to this outrage properly. Eventually Wargaming buckled and sold the ship normally. Then they realized that ship duplicates and artificial scarcity could generate a lot more money without much effort. But whatever, we are here to learn more about the ship itself. The Alabama is a South Dakota class battleship, also known as the best battleship ever made, because it managed to check every box on the Washington Naval Treaty, without compromising much of anything. Relatively small hull, capable to carry a lot of modern armaments, yet still fast enough to not be mistaken as another dreadnought. It sure does smell like jealousy in the room. If you are not the United States of America. But how is that possible? What is America's secret of the perfect battleship? Well, it probably has something to do with geography. You can do anything with a clear brain, and without worry, if you don't have a lot of annoying neighbors that might randomly decide to shoot you.
Nope.
The most common question people asked about the Alabama is how does it compare to the North Carolina? Both has the same guns, same armor, no game-breaking gimmicks, and thankfully not blood-related. But as said previously, the Alabama is the peak treaty ship that supersedes the North Carolina. It's shorter and has less superstructure, but it also has a lower citadel, a massive advantage against broadsides. Impossible to hit, unless it's a long-range shot. Other small but noticeable things are these indentation above the belt, physically modeled into the armor, which increases the chance of bouncing shells away from the main hull, and right underneath is the torpedo belt, with a massive 49% damage reduction. That's just a hair below the Yamato class battleships. Crazy to think that the South Dakota class ships has a way better hull than the preceding Iowa class, especially when it still has 9 16-inch guns. However, I want to highlight its caliber. These are 45 caliber main guns, not the 50 caliber ones found on the Iowa class. This means two things: slower shell velocity and higher impact angle. Sniping will be harder, but the shells will be seeing a lot more ship in its way. So if you have a good aim, and blessed by RNG, it could be more effective than the 50 caliber ones simply from doing less over penetration. The Alabama has 1.9 Sigma. This is actually very good. Sure, it cannot match the North Carolina superior 2.0 Sigma, but it is certainly far from the worst. Good enough to either miss everything, and good enough to do absolutely nothing.
Nope.
The USS Sister Kisser lacks a distinct role or gimmick commonly found on many new premiums, but that's the thing with premium ships back in early days. They are not trying to sell themselves, they simply needs to be functional. So to fully utilize the Alabama, you must put yourself in a specific mindset, not as a hero, not as a leader, and not as an incredibly annoying prick. You are instead a jaded office worker that repeats all the same familiar task so he can survive another day, grinding credits that buys absolutely nothing because everything is locked behind yet another currency. You absorb damage with your armor, You ignore the rear turret, you shuffle between damage control and the repair party, and never letting both of them being active at the same time. If the enemy is doing a lemming train, you turn tail and get out. If there is an HE spamming cruiser that kites away, you do the same to him. If you are top tier, you lead the team, but take extra caution when there is an enemy with a retarded battleship, and if you are bottom tier, stay behind top tier battleship and play victim when the enemy still decides to focus you. As long as you don't do anything stupid, the game will run on autopilot. That is until a submarine comes to ruin your day, because a certain someone made an hour-long video on how to play them. Your priority target would be your little sister. Your priority target is anything you can reliably hit, and considering the characteristics of its guns, this rules out destroyers in general, probably its only real weakness. But that is okay, because this is an American ship, which means it gets balanced according to the players from the bottom of the barrel, who thinks that crossing the T is the coolest thing ever. That's why it has a really good hull design. And that's why the Massachusetts is stupidly overperforming despite having worse guns. It just won't die. Do you see where I'm going? If you want to have actual fun in World of Warships in the year 2025, then go play ships that has heavy dosage of survivorship bias, like limited release ships inside gambling boxes, jacked up gimmicks that went too far, and experimental ships that are legally allowed to ruin your day. The Alabama in comparison is simply too pedestrian. The number of players that are interested in a ship like the Alabama is simply non-existent. All that is left are players who wish that wargaming will keep adding funny ships and cute collaboration that has nothing to do with warships, and how can you blame them? But I digress. The Alabama itself is still a solid ship. It shares a similar playstyle as the Wisconsin, just without the F key and without the laser accuracy. I recommend you to also watch my Wisconsin video for everything you need to know on how to play a modern American battleship. So to summarize, the Alabama will be at its peak if it's being played by someone who has known this game for more than 5 years and has made peace with it. Those who realize that no matter the ship, and no matter how good you are at adapting, the game will still find a way to fuck you up. This is how you preserve your genes. You take emergency repair, grease the gears, basic of surviving, and emergency repair specialist. Then take fire prevention, improved repair party readiness, adrenaline rush, and finally gun feeder. If you find this build boring, you can replace fire prevention with super heavy AP, and AA defense and ASW expert. For the upgrades you take main armament mod 1, damage control mod 1, main battery mod 2, damage control mod 2, and concealment. This is the correct way to bring families together. Now you can understand why many American premiums are off limits. The Alabama is a sign of your persistence against all the bullshit in this funny boat game, if you actually still play the game. That said, this boring ship is still an iconic one, especially in its Measure 22 camo scheme, which is why I'm currently working on its 3D printable model. It will be featured in a dedicated video that explains the process of making my 3D printed ships, which should come sometime in the next 2 weeks. This isn't a complicated ship to make. It will be the same size as the Fuso, and I can take parts from my previous Ohio model to save time. I will release it as a free model on my creators page, and I promise that it will be easy to build. Until then, thank you for watching, and see you on the next upload.
Die!
Burger King, Portland, and Yummy!